Welcome one more day to a space for listening to the harmonias of life, of true reality, which is represented, as we have seen many times, with the Tree of Lives and its 12 fruits, or 12 spheres, which obviously come from a single origin, the Holy One, the primordial source, also known as the Father of Lights, which is sometimes known as well as the 13th sphere, containing the 12 spheres or aspects. And the following week we'll see how these 12 fruits grow by means of the interaction of two vibratory laws or musical laws, known as the law of 3 and the law of 7 or law of octaves. But today we will establish a foundation from our own awareness, making another cosmo-communication like the last week, and we'll have to see how one sphere contains in itself the 12 spheres, because each sphere is an expression of the Holy One. So everything is expressed in every sphere. But we have to start with something closer. Obviously, the Tree of Lives manifests physiologically, emotionally, mentally, and in deeper levels. But let's start with something palpable that we can feel, like our body. And we'll be establishing the connection from the sphere of beauty on the physiological level. Last week, I wrote an essay article, which I left in the blog, The Music of Wisdom, establishing a correlation between the so-called 12 systems of medicine and the 12 fruits of the Tree of Lives, with just a little variation, but it all fits very well, as you can see. And in that scheme, the sphere of beauty corresponds to the dermic system. Doctors call it tegumentary system. I prefer to call it dermic sensory system, because from the dermis we start feeling the sensation, and including all senses, which help us harmonize all the physiological functions and also the emotions and the mind. This is actually how we expand the sphere of awareness, including the 12 aspects, becoming ourselves the 13, encompassing all systems. Therefore, we are going to be an expression of the Holy One from a physical point of view. And before going into the cosmo-communication in itself, let's see an overview of these 12 aspects. So let's start with the first sphere of the Tree of Life, which is the finality, the purpose of establishing connections, which in physiology corresponds to the fascia, the system that connects the nervous system with muscular skeletal system. But on a dermic level, we also have cells that cover all over our body, establishing one single tissue. And our senses also help us collect ourselves. When we gather those senses in one single common sense, we also expand our consciousness, becoming more integrated. Then the sphere of the crown of life corresponds physiologically to the breathing system, which obviously also affects the skin, dermic system, because the cells breathe. And the senses also help us exchange impressions. We receive impressions through the 5 senses, processing them, digesting them, collecting them through the common sense. And we also respond with an energy. There is an exchange in and out. Then we have the sphere of wisdom, the protective action, sometimes known as the covering of the father, which is very well expressed in the immune system that obviously functions all over the skin. When the immune system doesn't work well, there can be problems in the skin. Then we have the sphere of vital understanding associated to the circulatory system. And here, obviously, the blood nurtures the dermic tissues with nutrients, minerals, vitamins, oxygen, even light travels through the blood. And our senses work better if they are nurtured with blood as well. Then we have the union of wisdom and understanding, the two spheres, coming into the sphere of conscience, which physiologically corresponds to the harmonized three-brain system: the reptilian brain, the limbic emotional brain, and the neocortex, with the intuitive right brain, with the left logic, rational, discursive brain. And when all these come together, then there is an harmonious flow. The skin is strong, warm, is protected. Otherwise, when the reptilian nervous system takes control, then we get into the so-called fight or flight response. And this generates sweat in the hands, chicken skin, as we say in Spain. There can be also cold. We get cold like lizards. Then we have the sphere of mercy, in which the lymph clears up all the interstitial spaces between the cells, which obviously eat and have to excrete all the waste, and this waste is carried away by the water of the lymph. This is an expression of mercy. And then in the sphere of force, we have the muscular system, the muscles, but also the tone of the skin, the strength of the skin. This is very important. It has to be elastic, flexible, but also strong so it doesn't break up. And harmonizing these spheres, in the center, we have the sphere of beauty, in which the dermic system expresses not only physical beauty, but spiritual beauty. If you notice, when someone is connected to the true love, light, life, and serenity, this is expressed through the face, the whole body is talking. There is a shining in the skin, the eyes, and it depends on the self-recognition of the person. Otherwise, when we lose this self-recognition, then there is fear, anxiety, insecurity, lack of self-esteem, and this can eventually manifest in skin problems like eczema and other autoimmune diseases. This is something I know in person because for years I sometimes suffer from chronic eczema in the hands, and even there were a couple of years in which I suffer eczema all over the body, and I never took medicines because I knew the problem wasn't physical. And eventually, when I recovered my self-recognition, my center, going deep into a work of consciousness, the whole problem went away. I no longer have eczemas. My skin is glowing and is very resistant and resilient. And this is a work done with all senses, not just the five senses, but inner spiritual senses, which help us perceive the beauty of our being, of the whole cosmos. This is why I say that the aesthetics of the true divine life are a key to healing. And then we have the sphere of success, victory, in which the endocrine system works on a physiological level, obviously improving the condition of the skin. And here again we have the possibility of activating the endocrine system by means of activating the senses. For instance, when we pay attention by listening or by focusing on something, the endocrine system releases dopamine, which is the hormone that helps us be motivated. And then there are hormones such as serotonin, which help us feel well, oxytocin, that help us feel loved by others, endorphins, which decrease the pain all over the body, not only in the skin. And obviously there are more hormones, but they all help us succeed. And obviously the skin succeeds in healing when we are in a state of well-being. Then in the sphere of structural splendor, as I call it, we have the skeletal system in the view I presented. And on a dermic level, we also have different structures. The cells in the hand may be different from the cells in the face, other parts of the body, but they all are part of one single structure. They all are related. Then in the sphere of the so-called yeshod, the fructification sphere, we have the reproductive system, which on a dermic level is the growth and reproduction of cells that has to be harmonized as well, because if the cells grow too fast and they generate overgrowth, then we have problems such as cancer or other autoimmune diseases such as psoriasis. And in these cases, let's keep in mind that we have the ability to tell the body to start a process of reharmonization. We have to command our body as we drive a car. We'll see that later. Now, in this sphere, we also have to take into account that when sexual energy is not used for reproductive means, then it must be transformed into subtle bodies, such as the energetic body, the emotional body, even the covering of the mental body. And this is very important to understand because there is a relation between the physical body and those bodies. And many times, when we feel discomfort physically or there is a disease in the skin or another organ, many times the problem lies in those subtle bodies. For instance, there are energetic parasites and maybe emotional parasites, structures that get stuck in that emotional body, and also parasitic mental structures that eventually have an impact on our physical body. So we cannot solve the problem if we don't go into the subconscious and unconscious levels, cleaning up all the dross, all the darkness and obscurity that might be generating that physical problem. And obviously this means that we have to digest darkness within, all of which has to do with the following sphere. the so-called Malkut, or kingdom, it's called. I would call it otherwise, but let's call it that way for the moment. And here we have the digestive and excretory system, which obviously function on the skin as well, because the cells eat, digest, and have to excrete all the waste. The sweat we have, for instance, is also the waste released by the dermic system. We have to be digesting through the senses as well the impressions from the external world, processing them emotionally and mentally as well. So it's a process that takes place on all levels, as you can see. We know everything from one single sphere. And in this process of digesting, we have to leave aside all the negative impressions that hurt us. Hate, self-doubt, many destructive passions, and also archetypical ways of thinking that are distorted, such as considering ourselves as servants of a higher god and things like that. And now that we have a holistic vision, let's go into the cosmocommunication. Like the other day, let's get relaxed in a stable position with the hands on the knees, if you wish, closing our eyes, breathing deeply a couple of times to relax. Through the nose, preferably, to be able to pay more attention, and without losing the awareness of the breath. Let's feel the top of the head, the crown, going downwards with the sensation, relaxing the face, the muscles in the neck, the shoulders, release tension on the back, relax the chest, the abdomen, the arms, we feel the palms of the hands relaxed as well. The sensation keeps going downwards through the legs, reaching the feet, touching the floor. We feel the heartbeat resonating all over the body. And keep including the senses in one single common sense. We hear inner and external sounds, including the taste, the darkened vision, the smell through the breath, paying close attention to the spaces between inhalation and exhalation, breathing deeply, directing the breath towards the belly, but gently. And from this common sense, state of inner recollection, we start communicating with our dermic system, telling that we are emanations of pure light coming from the primordial source, carrying all the love, vitality that makes everything alive and connected to the tissue of the whole cosmos. So there is no reason to fear anything, no reason to develop allergies or other types of disease, because everything is harmonizing right now. And we make the cells know that all the life and luminous energy that goes into the cells will never die. Their life will come with us. We realize that we can only feel the body this way because we are not the body. We have expanded our awareness to the vibrations of the subtle bodies, and we can even listen to the vibration of those subtle bodies around us. And now, feeling grateful for being expressions of the unconditional loving life and serene conscience, we send all this loving light towards those around us and towards all the tissues in our physical body. And without losing this common sense, let's open our eyes, realizing that in this state we are really connected not only to our whole body, but the whole cosmos knows about ourselves now. And obviously we are an expression of the source. And even though we might lose this expansive awareness, we can keep the connection with the inner beauty and manifest all the qualities of this inner awareness towards others, towards ourselves. This is something we can access at any moment. And for now, I simply remind you that I leave another article like the last week, focusing on the theme of today in the blog, The Music of Wisdom. Thank you for watching and listening, and until the next week, blessings of true love, life, light and infinite serenity.